Over the years, there's been a lot of discussion about what things in the Bible are still happening and what aren't. For instance, many people will say that speaking in tongues went away with the disciples, the apostles. I'm not going to get into that argument today. But when I thought about that today, I got to thinking, what about all the other things that are talked about in Acts that they said? This is the prophet Joel, right? That is talking in Acts chapter 2. Well, it's a quote from Joel. Starting in verse 16, it says, "But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel." Okay? And this was back when the Holy Spirit was poured out on the 120 in the upper room. "And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Your young men shall see visions. Your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaids I will pour out in those days of my Spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs in the earth beneath, blood, fire, vapor, smoke," etc. Okay? So I got to thinking. People say that speaking in tongues, which started in the book of Acts, has passed away. But I haven't heard so much teaching on the rest of this. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just see exactly what these words mean? Okay? The last days. Now, when the Holy Spirit was poured out in Acts chapter 2, 2,000 years ago, they considered that the beginning of the last days. They believed they were in the last days, and what was happening in that upper room was a fulfillment of what was spoken of in the prophet Joel. And if it was true then, how much more is it true now? Because we're 2,000 years closer to Jesus coming again. The last days are the farthest final period of time or age. So we are in the last days now. What does it mean to pour out? It is to gush out, to shed abroad. You know what I think about when I think about this? Pour out or gush out. Something that gushes out. It's like if a dam breaks and the water's just pouring out. That is a gush of water. That's what's supposed to happen in the last days. God is pouring out His Spirit. Now, we've talked about the Spirit before. It's the Greek word pneuma. It's the Holy Spirit. Actually, it's the breath of God. It is the life-giving Spirit. God's pouring this out upon all, each and every, the whole of. Nothing's left out. No one is left out. All flesh, all human beings. Your sons and your daughters. Yeah, I did look this up in the Strongs, and basically, it's male and female children. Your children, on all your children, doesn't matter if they're boys or girls, shall prophesy. Now, this doesn't say they might. It says they shall prophesy. What does this mean to prophesy? It is foretell events. It's to speak under the inspiration of God. It is to exercise the prophetic office. Now, do you believe there are prophets in the world today? You should. You should believe that, because this says in the last days, and we're certainly in the last days, that people are going to prophesy. There will be a prophetic office. Now, I'm not going to say who's a prophet and who's not. That's not for me to say. I believe God has called some to specifically be prophets. But it's also speaking under inspiration. And anybody that speaks can speak under the inspiration of God. If you ask God to use you, if you ask Him to speak through you, there's times when things will come out of your mouth and you have no idea where they came from. They came from God. Your young men A young man is a youth under the age of 40, according to Strong's. So if you're not under the age of 40 anymore, I'm sorry, you're not a youth anymore. Side note here, this is my theory. Came up with it a long time ago, and I don't know, maybe subconsciously it's based on this. I figured, because who knows when you change from being a child to an adult to when's old age, okay? Birth to 40, that's your youth. 40 to 80, that's your middle age. So I'm still middle age, y'all. 80 to 120, that's your old age. Or I always say that's when you're starting to get old. That's my side note. Anyway. Oh, do you want to see Toofy? Come here. Toofy wants to come up and say hi, so Toofy says hi. Okay, so, shall prophesy, young men shall see visions. A vision is an inspired appearance. So, have you ever seen a vision? Something that wasn't there in the natural? I have a couple of times. It's been a long time since I've had a vision. It's kind of a strange experience. Old men, see, the old men are not left out. Those are the elderly. A senior, I guess that's in biblical terms, that'd be under anybody over 40. Shall dream dreams. A dream, of course, is something that you see in your sleep. It's a vision, can be a vision in a dream. You ever have a dream and you wake up and you know that God's speaking to you? That's happened to me a lot. There have been times when I've had a dream and it's like, oh, I'll tell you the most recent one that I know for sure was a God dream. I don't remember the dream, but I did know when I woke up from that dream that God wanted me to do something. And what he wanted me to do was to stop playing computer games. Now, you may think that's not such a big deal. Believe me, it was. I was addicted to video games. I started playing Q*bert in 1984 after I married my husband. He had a Commodore 64, and it had Q*bert on it, and I played Q*bert for hours and hours and hours, and that's what got me addicted. And after that, I just kept playing whatever computer games were available, whatever became the norm. As technology advanced, so did my playing. And I played for hours on my computer, on my iPad, on my phone. When I woke up from that dream, I knew God wanted me to delete everything off of everything. And I'm like, okay, God, I'll do it in the morning, because it was the middle of the night. He would not let me go back to sleep. So finally, because I had my phone right there by me, I said, okay, we'll go ahead and delete everything off the phone. So I woke up enough to delete every game off of my phone. Thought I'd go back to sleep then. I said, okay, God, I'll get the iPad and the computer in the morning. He would not let me go back to sleep. I laid in bed for over an hour thinking about this. And finally, I'm like, okay, God. So I got up and I got my iPad and I deleted every game off of the iPad. And then I went to my computer and I deleted every game off of my computer. It took me over 2 hours to remove all the games off of my computer and my iPad. That is how addicted I was. I had a lot of games. I have not played a computer game since. Have I been tempted? Yeah. I have wanted to put a computer game back on my computer or my phone and play again, but I can't. Why can't I? Because I'm addicted. As much as you may be addicted to something, some people are addicted to drugs, some people are addicted to alcohol, some people are addicted to sex. Can I say that? I hope so, because I just did. People are addicted to a lot of different things. I was addicted to computer games. And that dream told me, Diane, you need to stop. And so I stopped. How long ago has that been? Well, let's see, 2.5, 3 years. It was after my husband left and before the divorce was final. My therapist said that was the worst time ever to stop doing that because it was my way of coping. I still have a coping mechanism. Want to know what it is? I call it yarn therapy. I crochet. But when I'm crocheting, I can listen to preaching at the same time. When I was playing computer games, it had my full attention. I didn't hear or see anything else. The whole time I was raising my children, I was addicted to computer games. And I neglected my children because of it. That's a bad thing when you let an addiction keep you from your children. I love my children. Loved them then, loved them now. But I regret spending all that time on the computer. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. That passage goes on, and I may or may not continue this study another time, but I just wanted to share with you one verse out of Acts chapter 2 and see what you think. What do you think? Are these things still happening today? Do we still have prophets in the land? Do we still dream dreams and see visions? What do you think? Drop a comment. Let me know. Thanks for watching.